Hello, I'm Alexandres, and today the video will be about historical fiction and alternative history, and I like to talk about the subject based on the series Queen Charlotte. It's a story that comes from the universe called Bridgerton. You can watch this series on Netflix, and there is a book also, but I don't know. I haven't read this book yet, but I'd like to. And after watching this series, I've had such thoughts about the genre. Historical fiction or alternative history, because I feel like it's hard to say when borders of these two genres end and where they start, and it's a very typical thing when it comes to genres. And this similar thing is with my novel, Great Ladies Diary. I've always thought about this book as a historical fiction, but this series made me wonder that it's maybe also alternative history. So that's why I talk about this subject right now, because it just made me think in such a different way, because about genres. But that's a side effect of my studies and of my work. Writing books. And that's why I talk about this. But I will need to write a separate blog post about this subject, because I think it's something that I need to think through, and I think you need to too. Because it's hard to say like that what difference these two genres. It's like you write a novel based on history, and it's obvious that you have to add the fictional elements, because history is just a it's just a story about past, and it's always just a one side of a medal. It's just one point of view, and in a historical fiction you can look at history from from different perspectives, and this is when you can start to think about historical fiction in a similar way as alternative history, because alternative history is where you start to look at this history, and you start to think, what if you change this thing, and what if you replaced another with another. And this way it may seem like it's easy to say what is historical fiction and what is alternative history, but I think sometimes it's hard to say. So this is why it made me wonder, because I have there on my bookshelf one book which can be called alternative history, and next to it there are historical fictions written in 19th century. So it's a typical, very, very typical thing for me. And it's like just these books on my bookshelf. It's like you can put these two genres next to each other, and it's like they are siblings and they are similar, but not quite, and sometimes it's hard to say when one genre is ending, when another one is starting. And well, I think, as I've said in the beginning of this video, I will need to read more and think more about this subject, because the next book that I will be continuing is Great Lady's Diary, and wow, and it's not only about the story but also about the shape, and it's a very important thing for me, because I'm a poet, and I think this way it also reflects my novels, because being a poet is a way of living and the way of looking at things, and I do it also writing my novels. so yeah, so this is a very interesting to me subject, and it needs to be studied in the future, as you can see. Okay, so I think that's it. But I feel like some kind of philosopher right now. I hope you don't mind. And well, I hope you like this video, and I hope you can like if you like this. You can subscribe and comment. And this video will come out in the middle of September, and it only means that we are slowly ending our season 3. But well, I hope you can still stay here until the until the end of September. And by the way, it's been 2 years since I have this new shape of my YouTube channel, and that's all I wanted to say. So okay, bye.